Ever wondered how that phone in your pocket, the coffee you drank this morning, and the car you drive are all connected? The answer is free trade, a powerful economic force that shapes our world. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to break down exactly what free trade is, from its core principle of comparative advantage to how it fuels global finance and technology. We'll explore why economists love it, why politicians struggle with it, and how it creates both winners and losers. We'll also look at the future, diving into how AI, digital data, and global rivalries are rewriting the rules of the game. Stick around to understand the invisible engine driving our modern economy. So, what exactly is free trade? At its core, it's a policy where governments don't play favorites. They don't put up special roadblocks like taxes or quotas on goods coming in or going out. The idea is to make trading between countries as smooth and easy as trading between two cities in the same country. Think of it like an open highway for products and services. This is usually set up through free trade agreements between countries or through big organizations like the World Trade Organization, which sets the ground rules for global commerce. The goal is simple: let goods flow where they're wanted without unnecessary government interference. The entire idea of free trade is built on a brilliant concept from the early 1800s called comparative advantage, thought up by economist David Ricardo. It sounds complicated, but it's actually quite simple. Imagine you're great at baking bread, but just okay at making cheese. Your neighbor is a master cheesemaker, but not a great baker. Instead of both of you struggling to make both things, comparative advantage says you should focus on what you do best, baking bread and trade with your neighbor for their amazing cheese. You both end up with better bread and better cheese. Countries work the same way, by specializing in what they produce most efficiently and trading for the rest. Every country involved gets more stuff, better quality, and lower prices. It's a classic win-win scenario that boosts global production for everyone. So, why do economists get so excited about free trade? Well, the vast majority agree that it delivers a massive net gain for society. When companies have to compete not just with the guy down the street, but with firms all over the world, they are forced to innovate, become more efficient, and offer better products. This fierce competition is a powerful engine for economic growth and productivity. For you and me, the most direct benefit is at the checkout counter. Free trade means lower prices and a much wider variety of choices, which is like getting a raise without actually getting your money. Simply goes further. On a global scale, it helps channel money and resources to where they can be used most effectively, generating more value and raising living standards across the board. Of course, the real world is a lot messier than the textbooks. Pure, unrestricted free trade is actually very rare. Most governments practice some form of protectionism. They use tools like tariffs, which are taxes on imports, or subsidies for local businesses to shield certain industries from foreign competition. Why? Because while free trade makes the overall economic pie bigger, it doesn't slice it up evenly. There are clear winners like export-focused companies that get access to new markets and consumers who enjoy lower prices. But there are also clear losers: domestic industries that can't compete with cheaper imports and the workers they employ. This creates a huge political headache. The challenge for any government is to help those who are hurt by trade without resorting to protectionist policies that ultimately shrink the economic pie for everyone. You can't talk about the free flow of goods without talking about the free flow of money. Trade and global finance are two sides of the same coin. When a country exports goods, it earns foreign currency. When it imports goods, it needs foreign currency to pay for them. This all requires a robust, open financial system. That's why modern free trade agreements aren't just about cars and crops. They often include rules that open up financial services. This allows foreign banks, insurance companies, and investment firms to operate across borders. The result is more competition, deeper financial markets, and a more efficient system for moving capital around the world to where it's needed most for investment and growth. Free trade also acts like a giant welcome sign for foreign investment. When a country signs a trade deal, it's signaling to the world that it's open for business and committed to stable, market-friendly policies. This makes it a much more attractive place for foreign companies to invest their capital, a process known as foreign direct investment, or FDI, for developing economies. This is a huge deal. In the past, economists thought opening up to trade and opening up to foreign capital were separate choices. Now, we see them as partners. Trade integration can kickstart a wave of investment from abroad, providing the cash needed to build factories, upgrade infrastructure, and create jobs, accelerating economic development in a powerful way. But this marriage of free trade and free-flowing capital isn't without its risks, especially for smaller, emerging economies. Being deeply connected to the global financial system means that when a big shock happens somewhere in the world, like a financial crisis or a sudden economic downturn, the effects can spread like wildfire. These countries can experience wild swings in capital, with money flooding in one moment and rushing out the next, which can cause serious instability in their own financial systems. This is why policymakers face a delicate balancing act. They need to keep their markets open to reap the benefits of trade and investment, but they also need smart regulations known as macroprudential tools to act as a shock absorber and prevent the entire system from collapsing during a storm. Technology is completely transforming the world of free trade, acting as both a supercharger and a brand new subject of negotiation. Think about it. The internet, advanced logistics with real-time tracking, and automated customs processes have slashed the costs and complexities of moving goods across the globe. It's what makes complex global supply chains possible. But technology isn't just helping trade, it is trade. Today's free trade agreements have to tackle entirely new issues like digital trade. This means setting rules for how data flows across borders, creating standards for e-commerce, ensuring cybersecurity, and protecting intellectual property rights for things like software and digital media. The digital world is the new frontier of global commerce. Just as we figured out how to lower tariffs on physical goods, a new set of digital walls is going up. The new form of protectionism isn't a tax, but a rule. Some countries, for instance, are implementing data localization laws, which require companies to store data about their citizens on servers located within the country. Others might demand that foreign companies transfer their technology as a price of market entry. These rules create digital barriers that fragment the global internet and restrict the free flow of data, which has become the lifeblood of the modern economy. The big challenge for trade negotiators today is to create a system that keeps data flowing, freely powering innovation and e-commerce while still finding ways to protect personal privacy and national security. Looking ahead, the landscape of free trade is facing some of its biggest shakeups yet, driven by AI automation and geopolitics. The old logic of comparative advantage was often based on cheap labor. But as AI and robots become more capable, manufacturing might depend more on having the best technology than the cheapest workers. This could change which countries have the advantage. At the same time, global politics are throwing a wrench in the works. We're seeing a rise in tech protectionism, where major powers like the US and China used trade controls to gain an edge in strategic technologies like semiconductors and quantum computing. This is leading to a trend of de-risking, where countries and companies are trying to untangle their supply chains to be less dependent on rivals, potentially fragmenting the global trade system we've spent decades building. So, from a simple idea about specialization to the complex digital and geopolitical battles of today, free trade has shaped our modern world. It's a force that has lifted millions out of poverty and given us incredible choice and affordability. But it also creates real challenges that we can't ignore. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Really helps the channel grow. We have more content coming your way that breaks down the big ideas shaping our world. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.